Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. John, Arizona Mining filed the technical report last week for its Hermosa Taylor PEA and held a conference call on Monday morning, after which the stock dropped as low as $1.70. Did we learn anything in the conference call that might have caused the stock to drop?
The conference call was basically a question and answer session where a number of Canada's bigger brokerage firms, their analysts posed different questions. The questions revolved around permitting issues, some of the recovery issues. In general, the questions were friendly, and but what came out in the discussion was management's cost projections for how much money it will need to spend by the end of Q2 of 2018 next year to deliver a feasibility study, at which point they also hope to have be in a position to start breaking ground for a shaft and a decline to access the ore. Now, that $75 million cost is a lot more money than the company currently has, and so, of course, the stock sold off, and as the various institutions saw and realized, we're probably going to be able to buy this cheaper because we are, in a sense, in the value trough. The part of the S curve where it's basically a waiting game unless the metal price goes up. And so the stock sold off in the wake of that conference call, not because there was anything negative in it, but one of the things that I was puzzled that the analysts did not really dwell on was that this mine will be trucking probably 30 to 40 trucks, so carrying about 30 to 40 tons of concentrates in the current scenario through the village of Patagonia, which is about 8-10 kilometers from the mine site. And the village of Patagonia is something of sort of an artist retiree community. It has only about 900 people population, but it's a sort of wealthy people mixed in with sort of more rural working class people. And this is going to be a major opposition to getting anything done, because these trucks rumbling through that town, that's not going to go over well. So this project will get a lot of opposition. But one of the things I observed in pouring through the technical report is that they explored a scenario of, rather than driving a shaft and a decline from the patented claims themselves, they explored a scenario where they were going to drive a twin declines from another property outside this area. And they mentioned in the technical report that if they had this property and were able to drive these long declines, which could definitely access the much deeper ore and avoid the cost of a shaft, they would also be able to build a milling facility on that site and be able to load the trucks without ever those trucks having to go past Patagonia. They would just head straight for Nogales and then ultimately to a port on Mexico, which is one through which all these concentrates get shipped. So there were hints that this option is not out of the question, but I think it's downplayed by the company because it has perhaps been unable to negotiate a deal to acquire that land, and so they've decided to stick with this shaft and decline from the patented claim scenario, and they will have to deal with these trucks going through the town of Patagonia.
Arizona Mining bounced back above $2 on Thursday after it reported new drill results. Was there anything special in the news release?
The news release reported a number of infill holes, which of course at this point nobody cares about anymore, but they had 3 holes that they drilled at the far corners of the project, and they were very interesting. The 2 that were at the northwest and the southwest corners, that's at the limit of the property of the patented claims. In fact, the land beyond that is on the other side. Those holes did intersect the Taylor Deep zone and got the fairly good zinc lead grades, but the depth is about from 1,300 to 1,500 meters. That's like 3,000 to 5,000 feet deep. That is quite deep. But the importance of those holes is that it shows that this hypothesis of this system stretching across the property and probably ultimately hosting several 100 million tons of high-grade zinc lead ore, it is plausible. So these holes, they were giant step-outs. They were there to show that, yes, the system is there. But the hole that was really intriguing was hole 395, which was drilled off to the east on the so-called hard shell claim, patented claim in the northeast corner. And this intersected the Taylor Deep zone at about 650 meters, and it had fantastic grades. This was probably the best hole yet. They had 61 feet of 16.5% zinc, almost 14% lead, and almost 10 ounce per ton silver. This is a spectacular hole. And what's intriguing about it is that this exists underneath the area where the central Hermosa deposit is, and that's a silver, zinc, manganese oxide deposit on which the company spent $40 million between 2010 and 2012 before concluding it wasn't feasible. This was supposed to be an open pit mine, and I don't think that was going to go anywhere in this part of Arizona. But it's now clear that this thrust fault, which had somewhat disappointed the market when it showed up about 2 or 3 months ago, which pushed the sulfide zone downwards, displaced it somewhat, made it deeper. Now we're seeing that this zone actually exists on the other side of the sulfide zone, which eventually transitions into the oxide zone, which is not really a target. So all of a sudden we have a major new high-grade zone, and the company has indicated that for the moment they're going to shift more to exploration drilling. They're going to be drilling more holes in this area, expanding the 6 rigs on the project, and they're also going to tackle these high-grade veins, which were the ones that Osarco ages ago in the 30s and 40s and 50s mined for high-grade zinc lead. They've seen that these veins, there's multiple ones of them. They go very deep. They traverse the entire project. They are present at the far limit where they hit this hole, and they have a higher silver grade than the main sulfide resources, and also a high zinc lead. And because they've been drilling largely vertical holes, they've only been nicking these veins. So as part of going forward, they're going to be drilling angle holes through this to better quantify these near vertical veins, which in some cases are up to 50 feet deep. And with the decline that they're driving, and this is one reason I think they included the decline rather than just a shaft-only scenario, they will be able to also chase those high-grade veins down the road. So the stock got a lift when the company demonstrated that, yes, there's another here closer to surface dimension that is even higher grade than what we've been focused on, and plus the system is as large as everybody was waving their arms about a year ago.
We'll have more Discovery Watch with John Kaiser right after the break.
Lotus Ventures Inc. is a BC-based medical marijuana company poised to launch into the rapidly evolving cannabis sector. Lotus is in the final review stage of the Health Canada approvals to become a licensed producer, having arranged facility financing of up to $12 million, plus building permits for its prototype indoor production facility. Shares trade under the symbol J on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Visit our website at lotusventures.ca.
I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Rideout Shear Zone in Ontario. With grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold, a drill program will commence this spring to test the numerous targets located by recent groundwork. For more information, visit our website, rmroyalty.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, InZinc Mining has a somewhat similar project as Hermosa Taylor in Utah. It's called West Desert, which you put on the Discovery watch list because it also has exploration potential beyond the resource for which a 6,000 ton per day PEA already exists. Are we going to see a repeat of the Hermosa-Taylor discovery story at West Desert this year?
Well, at the moment, I'm quite disappointed that it is unlikely that West Desert will see any meaningful exploration this year, even though $1 billion has been raised by resource juniors during the first quarter of this year, and zinc has been very strong. InZinc CEO Kerry Curtis, who had 60 meetings or so pounding the pavement in Toronto and Montreal, has basically come up empty-handed. He has not raised any money, and the stock has now sunk below 20 cents. When I recently talked to him, he was indicating he would like to spend some money on the Indy claim, which he personally optioned to the company. This is a sort of smaller scale, early stage zinc prospect in British Columbia. It is a shame that the company will be diluting itself to work on that when they have the West Desert project, where an aggressive program, such as many companies are now mounting, could come up with a Hermosa-Taylor type expansion to the zinc copper skarn that's already there. So unfortunately, in the absence of, say, something going wrong in Korea and smelting capacity going offline there and causing the price of zinc to rocket, which would not be meaningful from a supply-demand perspective, but would create the optics of a soaring zinc price that could stampede Bay Street into wanting to fund InZinc. I think the outlook at the moment is pretty bleak that we will see a major discovery emerge from InZinc this year. And it is a company that I own a fair number of shares are, and it has been one of my top recommendations, and my readers do own a lot of it. So hopefully something breaks so that money comes into this story and we don't have to spend another year hibernating.
Adamira Minerals traded heavy volume this week as it tried to break through 20 cents a share. Are there new developments?
There are two developments. One might call a marketing development, and the other is something of a fundamental development. The marketing development is that Eric Coffin published what he calls an advertorial. It's a multi-page recommendation in that sort of breathless and that's not all style that is often used for mass marketing mail campaigns. These days it's all done by email. In the old days it would be like 250,000 pieces going out to giant lists and so on. And Eric's done a good job of capturing the story. Adamera, I agree with the message. I'm not so excited about the medium. But in this case, the message that they have figured out a new way of tackling the potential of a high-grade gold-silver district that has been sort of discarded as not having any potential left. Kinross shut down its Buckhorn mine, and its mill is grinding through the last of the stockpile. And this part of northeastern Washington, what Adamera calls the Cook Mountain, they now have 8 to 10 targets developed through geophysical surveys, where they're using magnetic signatures with associated conductive EM signatures suggesting some sort of sulfide body associated with the mag anomaly. And the good news that they published this week was that they have received a drill permit that allows them to tackle some of these targets, and they'll be starting a 3,000-meter drill program in May. And hopefully the first one will end up being the Big Banana, which started out as a very large conductor that they dismissed as likely being a lithologically controlled graphite conductor and of no interest. But when they put their boots on the ground and prospected the project, they realized that the mapped rocks are only a veneer, likely thrusted, and that the sort of altered limestone-type rocks that are the target host rocks for what they are calling sediment-hosted type systems rather than traditional skarn systems, there's suddenly the sulfide anomaly possibly is sulfide, not just a graphite conductor. So those are the two big things, a giant advertorial and the company being in a position to start delivering evidence that they do indeed have a strategy for coming up with a multi-million ounce medium grade to high grade gold deposits in Northeast Washington.
Discovery Watch with John Kaiser will continue right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, you introduced Camino Minerals in late February as a Discovery Watch Junior. On Tuesday, the stock jumped from 35 cents to a high of $1.28 on news from its Los Chapitos project in Peru. Today, the stock traded as high as $2.23. Has Camino turned into a major discovery?
Camino may be that classic discovery that sets the glass half full for all the juniors engaged in competent, well-thought-out exploration plays. And we talked about it, Ken McNaughton's team and their approach in late February, and they started a drill program in sort of late March. The prospect is what they call an IOCG target, iron oxide copper gold. And these deposits are formed by within basins, brines develop, and as brines flow through it, they dissolve metals from the various, minerals and that in it. And when they hit the right sort of chemically receptive rocks, they will drop out their payload and create what can be very substantial, high-grade, usually copper deposits with sometimes silver and gold as metals. Now, in the case of Los Chapitos, the analog is the Mina Justa project, which is 100 kilometers or more to the north. It is now being developed as an SXEW deposit, 375 million tons of 0.76 oxide copper ore, open pitable at surface. This was bought out at about a $300 million valuation when a junior that had it was taken over. In the case of the Los Chapitos, this area has had artisanal workers, especially in the Adriana to Caddy trend, which is about a 4 to 5 kilometer stretch, where up to 5-6% copper is found in these sort of narrow brecciated zones. And from Ken McNaughton's perspective, this is an area of leakage, and they went in there to drill some holes into this to see if they can establish an oxide copper resource, ideally in the 0.5% or better range, that can be turned into a bulk tonnage, open pit SXEW operation. But he also went in there with a second hypothesis, and this was the long shot hypothesis. They had done geophysical surveys, magnetic surveys, which showed that there were mag anomalies showing up at 50-meter depth in the area of Adriana and blossoming much bigger at the 250-meter depth. And in the area of the Adriana, they also did an IP survey grid and saw an IP and a chargeability anomaly show up, and that's supposed to be indicative of sulfides at that 250-meter depth. So the first two holes that they drilled, they could immediately tell that the first one was not that interesting, but the second one, after going through the oxide copper mineralization, entered about 100 meters of magnetite that's pretty barren rock, and then all of a sudden went into 100 meters plus of chalcocite, bornite enriched mineralization. And they reported the assays for that hole, 106 meters of 1.3% copper and a 10 to 11 gram per ton silver credit. And that's what got the stock rocking. By itself, that intersection it's interesting, but until you understand the geological context, you don't know really what's going on. But the model that they had developed made it pretty clear that these IOCG brines have hit this magnetite body, which was formed through an earlier hydrothermal event, and appears to have replaced the magnetite, like taking the bottom of a sponge and completely replacing it with sulfides. And based on the geophysics, one can see that there's like a 500 million ton footprint in this area. So if there's any distribution to this sort of mineralization, we have a major discovery. Most of it will probably have to be underground mined for the sulfides. The near surface oxide, yielded 0.4 to 0.5% copper. Ken believes that they lost 30% of the cuttings, and if there was any preferential loss of the sulfides, when they're bringing in a core rig now to re-drill those holes to get a better sense of both the structure and the grades, and if they get this thing up to 0.6% or better, they'll have an open pitable resource. That's SXEW. But the big prize that has got the market excited is the deeper sulfide deposit, and they have drilled 2 more holes, and number 4 is the critical one. They stepped back and basically targeted the heart of this magnetic anomaly and the chargeability anomaly, and they pushed that hole to 380 meters depth, which is the absolute limit for what you can do with a reverse circulation rig. It is in for assays. The company would love to finance right now, but he can't until he has the results, because they already probably know what this looks like, because with an XRF unit, you can pretty much get a sense for how much copper mineralization there is in your core, but you do need assays from the lab to actually confirm that. So I think in the next week or so, if hole number 4 confirms the sort of grades and distribution that we saw in hole number 2, that will kick off a major frenzy in this company. They will probably do a substantial financing, and then they'll go into delineation drilling, and we will have one of those great discovery plays that especially retail investors love to get into.
Do you have any new juniors for Discovery Watch?
Well, returning to Arizona, I mentioned with Arizona Mining Inc. that they're in this area of the Patagonia Mountains where there's a fair bit of wildlife and biodiversity in that, which attracts a lot of NGO type entities to oppose any sort of commercial activity in that area. But if you head west from Phoenix and drive for several hours along the freeway, you end up at the Ramsey Mine, which is now owned by Arizona Silver Exploration Corp. This is a fairly new company. It completed a qualifying transaction for a capital pool called Damon Capital Corp last year. There is only about 29 million shares issued, a few options, no warrants. The key people are Greg Hahn and Mike Stark, and they've been busy with the Canamex project in Nevada, which has worked out with a somewhat disappointing, smallish gold system. This new project is a silver play. It's one for silver bugs. The Ramsey Mine is a high-grade vein, one of those 1,000 gram per ton, 1 to 2 meter wide systems that was found in the 30s and 40s and had underwent small-scale mining. And that itself is not very interesting. What Greg Hahn is proposing is that the Ramsey mine location itself has potential as a bulk tonnage open pit mineable system, but the really big prize is across the road where the flats are, where the gravels cover everything. The geophysics has indicated there appears to be an extension of the Ramsey system. And if this is the case, then we have a potential 30 to 50 million ton system there that could be open pit mined if it runs 3 to 4 ounces per ton silver. So in early May, they are starting a drill program from 2 drill locations, 2 pads 150 meters apart with a series of holes fanning out to see if the rocks that support the Ramsey system are present and to see if the silver distribution does spread beyond the veins themselves into the wall rocks so that a bulk tonnage scenario is feasible. So this sort of footprint could generate a 50 to 100 million ounce system. It's in an area that's not frequented by the super wealthy. However, it is a snowbird territory where people go with their recreational vehicles and park them there in the lots and then bomb around in their all-terrain vehicles. But in terms of vegetation, there's almost nothing there. If you go to my website and pull Arizona Silver and go down to the Google Earth, you can actually start exploring the property right away. So developing something in this area is not going to get the opposition that you would get in the Patagonia region. It is high risk because until we get drill holes into this gravel-covered area, this blind target, we do not know if this model is correct, if the geophysics is reflecting a silver mineralized system. But if we do start getting the right rocks, and then the assays, which should start coming in late May, confirm that the silver grade is present, then that will be another new discovery to get excited about.
John, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been talking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. Discovery Watch will be back next week. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.